Hello, this is Darrell Castle with today's Castle Report. This is Friday, the 13th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2026. Friday the 13th, yes, indeed, it's apparently a very unlucky day for some of those caught up in the Epstein files. Who is caught up in those files? Just about everybody. Who is anybody, it seems, all the rich and powerful. But as I said in the title, the devil literally is in the details. Yes, folks, it's rather shocking to find that the whole world is run by satanic pedophiles, but that is what the recent release of over 3 million documents that constitute about half of the remaining Epstein files seem to be telling the world. Royal families torn apart, heads of state, cabinet secretaries, titans of banking and industry, owners of sports teams, ex-commissioners of sports leagues, but most of all, billionaires, all very connected to Jeffrey Epstein. He connected them apparently through blackmail, through greed and money, to his satanic pedophile circle of the most disgusting. It is indeed unusual to find a politician of national status who was not enamored with Epstein and what he had to offer, but not him. No, not the man that many put all their hopes of catching in this net, the man they all wanted to be guilty, even demanded be guilty, came out smelling like a rose, orange man bad. President Donald J. Trump, it seems, was the whistleblower who called the police and said, "This woman is evil and Epstein is disgusting. Get them out of here." Last Monday, the DOJ unsealed the documents which revealed that in 2006, Donald Trump called the police down in Palm Beach, Florida, to report Epstein's behavior. This woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, is his procurer, and an evil person. You should look into her. And I saw the way Epstein reacted around the teenage children of some of my guests, so I threw him out. Well, good on you, Mr. President. Good on you. You're a lot of things, but apparently satanic pedophile is not one of them. There are so many names in these files. It's all so sordid. I won't go over the whole mess, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now anyway. However, I have to mention a few names who are particularly bad. Bill Clinton, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, perhaps the worst of all, Bill Gates. Mr. Gates, with a net worth of hundreds of billions of dollars, came out of this with a reputation shattered. For 5 consecutive years, ending in 2019, I think, but maybe it was 2018, I can't remember, he was voted the most admired man on the planet. He was Time Magazine's Man of the Year, primarily because he was spending tens of billions of dollars pushing his vaccines around the world. I saw him give a TED Talk back in the early 2000s in which he openly said that his real goal was population reduction. I'm not talking about slowing the birth rate, folks. No, I'm talking about killing people. He said we could reduce the world's population by 15% through vaccines, but that was just a drop in the bucket compared to what needed to be done. He built and sold vaccines around the world, in particular in Africa, disguised as lifesavers, but in reality, life takers. He is, therefore, a mass murderer, and he is guilty of crimes against humanity. When you really think about it, he is one of the worst criminals in human history. His toady here in America, Tony Fauci, destroyed many lives, killed many people, injured many people, destroyed businesses and commerce. They should be treated accordingly by the justice system. That's my opinion anyway. The system will pursue you to the ends of the earth for a $100 tax bill, so we will see what it does with mass murderers. Now, Mr. Gates has already been punished to some degree by the loss of his reputation. I knew there was something going on when I heard him start fishtailing a short time ago on climate change is going to destroy the world scenario. He said he was mistaken. It's actually not catastrophic at all. I suppose he could have truthfully said climate change will not destroy the world because that's my job. Back on Pedo Island for a moment. Mr. Gates spent a lot of time with Epstein, even more time at Epstein's Manhattan mansion. There was a constant stream of, quote, schoolgirls passing through the Manhattan home because countless emails describe them as such. There is perhaps the most telling email of the millions in which Epstein emails himself about a request by Bill Gates, boy genius, founder of Microsoft, for antibiotics. Mr. Gates requested antibiotics from his friend Jeffrey Epstein so he could secretly give them to his wife Melinda because he was afraid he would infect her with a sexually transmitted disease he caught from, quote, those Russian girls, end quote. His personal assistant for many years, a man who had been the Gates' right hand for decades, said yes, he helped his boss deceive his wife Melinda. Yes, he helped him set up liaisons with married women, but when the request went criminal, he resigned. If anything good comes from this sordid mess, perhaps it will be the destruction of this evil mass murderer. I feel sorry for Melinda, though. I'm obviously completely opposite her politics. But I hate to see her humiliated in such a way. Melinda worked at Microsoft when it was young. He really was a boy genius back then. The story goes that she rejected him many times, but he was relentless. He pursued her and they finally were married. When she finally couldn't tolerate the humiliation anymore, she divorced him and took with her many, many billions of his dollars out of the separation. I've seen a couple of interviews with her since this all started, and to her credit, she never covers for him, nor does she throw him under the bus. Instead, she just says, that's something you will need to ask my ex-husband. Here in America, Representatives Thomas Massie, Republican, and Ro Khanna, Democrats, are responsible for the bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act. They said the secrecy and the redactions are still unacceptable. They will continue to pursue release of the rest of the files. Redaction, for your information, is illegal to protect reputation. It's only legal to protect national security, child identity, etc. The two representatives have said that the files reveal children as young as 9 years old. So it is more than likely far worse than I can tell you at this point. The release of these files has caused a widespread look at child abuse, i.e. child rape, in and out of satanic rituals that apparently have nothing to do with Epstein. I saw an interview the other day with a woman who is now an adult and in a position to help what she calls survivors. She recalled being sexually raped at age 6 through 9. When it entered the satanic phase at age 9, got much worse. I found her believable, especially in light of what has been revealed. Our British friends have been especially hard hit by all this. In fact, it's so bad that it could bring down the British government. Ro Khanna said that the king and queen should answer questions because this is not a good look for the monarchy. And in fact, if the investigation doesn't proceed, it could be the end of the monarchy. Massie and Khanna seem to be different from most members of Congress. Maybe they're just celebrating not being mentioned in the files, but who knows? They do not grant the respect for noblesse oblige granted by many Americans to the British monarchy. Khanna, in particular, sounds at times a little like Patrick Henry, rebelling against the colonial crown. Quote, I don't think the appropriate punishment is you no longer get to be prince. There's got to be more than that. I don't understand the British custom that someone's asking the Queen a question and the Queen is offended that she's being asked a question, end quote. Personally, I think, folks, I think where Massie and Khanna are headed with all this hyperbole is that they are sure this problem is a lot more widespread in the royal family than just Andrew. If so, this could be an extremely dangerous moment for the Windsors. The king maintains a lot of sympathy at this point for his swift removal of his brother, but we will see what comes next. What will be uncovered next probably has them on pins and needles. The story's pretty clear about one thing. That is that Jeffrey Epstein was a low-life grifter, but he had something that attracted the rich and powerful like flies to a portable toilet. The news stories focus on sex because I suppose That's what they think we want to hear, but the real story, apart from the rape of children, is a story of power, greed, corruption, treason. Epstein filmed heads of state and other powerful, rich, and influential people raping little children and then blackmailed them with the films. Many didn't seem to mind, though. They came back time and again for more and more. There is a series of emails from Epstein to his urologist, a licensed physician, whereby Epstein asked for drugs to treat erectile dysfunction. The doctor gave him the prescription and then said, "When you take them, I look forward to pizza and grape soda." Pizza and grape soda. Now let me think. There's a conversation between two men who are close to normal or sane have pizza and grape soda. They're mentioned time and again, these two things, pizza and grape soda. Maybe we should rethink that Pizzagate non-story. Just when you think it can't get any more horrifying, it does. Now there is a very convincing evidence that Epstein did not commit suicide. I never thought he did, folks, but was murdered, or perhaps he's still alive. Murder seems to be the most likely end of this man to me. There are never before released videos of a shadowy figure moving to his cell the night of his death. The most telling is a death announcement released by the authorities announcing his death the day before he actually died. Yes, folks, Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman announced Epstein's death a day before he supposedly died. Very strange indeed, but not if you consider the total impact of all this information. The world is run by satanic pedophiles, it seems. But why the fascination with small children? More importantly, on whose behalf is all this blackmail being conducted? That would seem to be the most important question of all. But as Bill Gates pointed out, Epstein is dead now, so we can't ask him. In conclusion, folks, my fear is that we, and especially our young, will become numb to all this, accept it as normal that satanic pedophiles run every system of power in this world. People must be prosecuted. They must go to jail, or there really is a dual system of law, one for us and one for the rich and powerful. Finally, folks, this sordid mess is much worse than I've been able to tell you. What has been done to children is being done to them. It's too horrible for me to mention in this report. These people involved, all of them, whoever and wherever they are, they must pay and pay dearly. At least that's the way I see it. Till next time, folks, this is Darrell Castle. Thanks for listening.